And yes, we are back. The Sports Bag Bros podcast is back at you on a Monday. And if we hear Monday, that means there was a weekend of carnage, especially in the NFL. What else freaking matters? There isn't any college football right now. There isn't any college anything other than basketball right now. And it's starting to get warmed up as soon as they decide to get a number one team that wants to stay there. But the NFL is what we're talking about. We went into the weekend talking about the NFL. We're coming out of a weekend discussing what had happened now in the NFL. What is up?
What's happening? Welcome back. Happy Monday. Probably going to be all football for the most part, but I do want to touch on Caitlin Clark and her
Bro, I was going to do it
yesterday. Her little running yesterday, but it's her birthday, so maybe we'll be nice about it. But let's get to it.
Yeah, man. Well, we made our picks the way we've made our picks, but hell, well, let's just discuss exactly what had happened. I mean, I don't even know where to start. I mean, we go from the biggest to smallest like they did when we were kids in school? You get in the line for shortest and tallest, or what, man?
What's the biggest story? I think the biggest story is Josh Allen coming up short again.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest story right now. So I think we'll just hold off on that because there are more interesting stories to talk about. Because we talked about the inconsistencies of the Buffalo Bills last week before we even headed into this game. But still, I took the Buffalo Bills because I thought payback meant something, and it didn't.
I should have known when you picked the Bills. I should have picked the Chiefs.
Just go the other way. Yo, Baltimore took on the Houston Texans, and I think the rust showed from Baltimore not having played for a little bit of time. But then when they went to halftime, they made the adjustments, and they came out like gangbusters and shut it down and did what they were supposed to have done in the manner in which it was supposed to have been done.
Right. They came out at halftime. I don't know if it was adjustments, more focus, or a combination of the two, but they dominated the second half. And they showed CJ Stroud things he hadn't shown before, he hadn't seen before. He didn't have open receivers to throw to.
Nope.
They made him look pedestrian. But, they made Brock Purdy look pedestrian. So I don't think that's a slight on CJ Stroud at all. Wow. It's just that's what the Ravens do.
Well, ultimately, it had to come to an end what he was doing, whether it was going to end with a Super Bowl ring or just in the Super Bowl, or whether it was going to end on his way to the Super Bowl. On his way to the Super Bowl, he stumbled in Baltimore, which was expected, the number one seed overall, in my opinion, if you talked about a number one overall seed. But in the AFC, certainly, Baltimore had so much to offer just everywhere on the field. And Lamar Jackson, people were kind of waiting for him to fail, or they just waited to see what was going to happen. Some just expected for him to fail. He didn't fall. You look at the numbers, and I see how people tried to compare him in terms of the MVP this year, and they looked at all these other quarterbacks, and he doesn't even compare to these quarterbacks. But you have to look at him as a quarterback and what he does for his team. He also leads the team in rushing, and he proved that this time. And he still did what he had to do passing the ball because those 2 touchdowns mattered as well.
Yeah, I'm not sure why he gets a lot of shade thrown his way. I see things on social media. They'll show this guy's numbers. Why isn't he an MVP? Well, maybe his team's record was 9-7. That's why.
That's the truth.
Or 10-6 even. Whatever. It's all about winning. And I always say it. I'll probably say it 2 or 3 times today because it goes to show that it holds credence. Don't tell me what you did. Tell me when you did it. You can go to the Ravens game. When did the Ravens pick it up? The second half.
Yep.
When did Josh Allen not do it? The fourth quarter.
Yep.
Right? You can say they're going back and forth. Chiefs scored, Bills scored, Chiefs scored, Bills scored, and then all of a sudden the Bills couldn't score no more because it was the fourth quarter. So don't tell me he played great. And he don't even have the numbers to support him playing great. He played great for 3 quarters maybe, but when it counted, where was he? You can say Diggs dropped the ball. Okay.
And he did.
He did drop the ball. But does that mean they still would have scored? We don't know that.
You know what? I don't know. Because I look at this whole win with loss with Buffalo. I don't think it was Josh Allen's fault. I think he did enough to win the game. The people around him didn't support him the way he needed to be supported. They didn't run the ball the way they needed to run the ball. Stephon Diggs, his biggest weapon, didn't do anything. He was doing everything. It was all on him. And I know the quarterbacks get all the praise and they deserve the blame. But here, I don't know about praising him because it was still a loss. But if there's anyone to be held accountable, I think he's probably third on line to be held accountable with everybody else that did not do their job properly the way they've done it, either in the regular season or even last week in the playoffs.
I'm with you. I'm not saying he was to blame for the loss, but I am saying when his team needed a play, he was unable to make it.
Well, you know what? If he's throwing balls to guys who just don't catch the ball, he can't make the play if that's going to be his
Yeah,
role.
but
He
he
still
didn't.
ran that rock
He
though.
didn't have the guy crossing underneath who could have gotten the first down. He didn't throw it to him. He did throw the ball 7 yards short to the end zone. That would have given them the lead. So he made mistakes also.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. He made mistakes. But I think this is one of those rare occasions which it would be nice to jump on him because the team did lose. They were at home, and there was supposed to have been an element, at least I thought, an element of revenge and finally getting that get back that they couldn't get in KC for past years. This is supposed to be the time that all of that came together, the Bills Mafia, the weather, everything,
right?
And you get the same result. Big-time players making big-time plays in big-time games, and it was Patrick Mahomes doing the big-time playing. And Isaiah Pacheco, putting it down, running hard, hurting himself and others.
Yeah. And Kelsey, he had 2 touchdowns.
And Kelsey, let's not forget about him.
Diving to get the pylon. They made the plays when they had to. And the kicker, I don't know. I was looking at the flags and they were blowing to the right. And when he kicked it, it looked like it just the wind grabbed it.
Yeah, bro, you're supposed to know how to make these kicks. If they both play in stadiums where the wind is a problem, I think in Buffalo it's more of a problem, but they both play in cold areas. They both play where the wind could be a factor, and these kickers should know, even if it's not your stadium, you should know how to navigate the wind when you're making your field goals because it's something you've seen before. You're not in an indoor stadium where these kickers don't really get the opportunity as often, but you were there and that thing was it just went. It just left off his foot the wrong way. He pulled it the wrong way. It just didn't go, and we got the result we had gotten. But going back to that C.J. Stroud game with Baltimore playing against the Houston Texans, I mean, Baltimore is that good. They're the number 1 overall seed, in my opinion, period. But, yeah, the number 1 seed as an AFC team, and the Houston Texans, they looked good in the beginning, and Stroud looked like he was going to do a lot of what he's done this season, just picking it apart and doing that, staying calm, doing it. But once the second half came, I mean, everything was lights out pretty much. He couldn't throw the ball. Nico Collins all of a sudden disappeared. Singletary couldn't run the ball. It was just one of those things that he got Singletary. Devin Singletary couldn't run the ball, and he was shut down. And I know previous games they talked about how fast he was getting to the outside. I've seen how fast and quick he could be getting to the outside. Baltimore wasn't having anything, and they immediately put their foot on the pedal in the second half. Before you know it, 24-10.
So that game was 10-10 at the half, right?
Yes.
And they come out and they don't make a big play right away. But, if you follow this show, my son's a Ravens fan. So I text him, why no passes to Likely? ? Next play, pass to Likely for like 19 yards. So I text him, you're welcome. And that got them going. They went down and scored. They got the 3 and out. They scored again. And it was pretty much ball game. They just came out and snatched it. The game was on the table. It looked like the Texans had momentum. They had the punt return. They're going in, feeling good. We're tied in Baltimore. C.J. Stroud, he's been playing well in second halves and fourth quarters.
Yeah.
And they made the fourth quarter irrelevant.
Yeah, exactly. And trying to come from behind on the road in Baltimore, still not having that defense they had back in 2000, but having a defense that's going to be a pain in the butt, especially for a rookie quarterback, even having a phenomenal year as he's having. But look at everything, and it embodies what Lamar Jackson was able to do. He talked about how he heard the critics. How could he not hear the critics? I never believe when athletes say they don't listen to critics, they don't read newspapers, they don't watch the news. That's exactly what they do. I remember dealing with players in the past. I don't read newspapers. I don't watch television. I don't do this and that. But then a week of a big game in which they're a huge underdog, we upset because of that line. Bro, where'd you get that line from? The news. You watched it. You're doing that or you're gambling. So, yeah, you felt disrespect by that huge line. You're a 12-point underdog, and you're, upset about it. Yeah, because you saw the news and you heard the news. Same thing here. But Lamar Jackson, man, you look at his numbers. You talked about what he's done all season long as a quarterback, passing. You look at the numbers, not necessarily pedestrian, still impressive when you look at the touchdown to interception ratio. Then you look at the yards that he still put up. But then you look at how he led his team in rushing, almost 1,000 yards. And then you saw the way, before the half ended, you saw those 2 sacks. I thought that was going to start something, but they got out of it. But then you look at the end of the day, he averaged over 9 yards a carry, man. That's a problem. That's what the other quarterbacks that they're talking about haven't been doing.
Right. We have quarterbacks out there who put up video game numbers, right?
Yeah.
But they don't win.
Nope.
Give me the winner over the guy with the numbers every time.
See, the unique situation with Lamar Jackson is that he runs. They still try to make it seem as if he's just running because his first option's gone. He's matured since those days to where he's running because there's opportunities to run, or he's running because it's a design run. Now, when he's running and rolling out, he's keeping his eyes down the field. He's going laterally, looking for that wide receiver to open up or looking for someone to open up. And that's when he's throwing it. So he's either going to fail or succeed doing it that way. No longer just, man, my first option is gone. I can't even read the safety anymore. I better run because I'm just afraid to throw the ball. He's not doing that. But he's just so unique. Not even like Mike Vick, not even like Randall Cunningham, all of these other phenomenal quarterbacks we've had who were able to run. He's throwing these dimes when they need to be thrown, and his team is winning as a direct result of his work. You can say that about any quarterback, but like you mentioned, those big-time quarterbacks with those numbers, with the losses, though, they're not here. He led this team to where they are with his numbers throughout the entire stat sheet, from his running to his passing.
Right, and that's going to be a hell of a matchup when KC comes to town, man. I can't wait for that. That's going to be a hell of a matchup.
Oh, absolutely. And, let's not lose what had happened in Buffalo. When you look at Patrick Mahomes, he was all but left for dead because of how the season started with the Detroit Lions.
They figured it out.
He figured it.
It could be, they've been to, 5 straight AFC championship games or whatever it is.
At home.
It could be they're bored in the season. What are they actually playing for?
You know what?
And now they're in the playoffs. All right, guys, it's time to go to work. Let's do this. They flip the switch. I've said this before. Great teams are always great, but they're great when they have to be. They could still be a great team.
See, but I'm looking at it from another way because we saw how they got to where they are. We saw how it was getting to that point. We watched.
Yeah, they don't throw the ball to what's his name?
Tony.
Yeah, I can't even remember his first name. You know who I'm talking about. Yeah. He found Rashee Rice. Kelsey's a reliable target.
Yep.
Give the ball to Pacheco, and we're not going to mess with them other scrubs.
And that's true because we saw from the beginning how the numbers didn't look right. He never put up those Patrick Mahomes-esque numbers that we've been seeing since he's been in the league. He's been winning with just about 200 yards or even under 200 yards, but they've still been winning. And then some of those games he lost, even when he put up kind of sort of decent numbers. But now that it mattered, he didn't have the phenomenal numbers that we're used to, but he didn't make the mistakes and he made the throws he needed to make. And the plays that he needed when he found himself a receiver outside of Kelsey started making the plays like Rice. And then Pacheco, let's not forget about what he brings to the game, his physical nature of running. The speed that he has that he doesn't get enough credit for. He's a 4.4 guy at Rutgers, a 4.4 guy at the combine. He runs hard between the tackles. He can get to the outside. And I think after a while, people get tired of trying to hit him because he's trying to bang on them. He's reckless. He's reckless, man. Junior beast mode.
The way most of the league tries to tackle or avoid tackling now, yeah, I'm sure he's not fun to bring down.
Nah, no way.
After 3.5 quarters and he's still running hard, makes you think twice. But I was just a little disappointed that Allen didn't hit the receiver in the end zone because I want to see when Mahomes come back. I think there would have been like a minute 40 left.
Yeah.
That's a lot of times for Mahomes. Would they have scored and left enough time for Allen to come back? It would have been a replay of a few years ago. Touchdown. Oh,
going back and forth, yeah.
Right. But it didn't happen that way. Unfortunately.
Now,
it was still a great game.
Man, I think we've seen enough of Mahomes throughout his entire career to know that the likelihood of him going back down the field is probably just that. He's going to do it. You know, he's done it so many times, and now that he has a new cast of characters in terms of wide receivers, the only constant is Kelsey. He's still doing the same thing. I mean, what more can you say about this guy? You're thinking that, okay, he's finally. People were talking about it when they were losing games. See, he's not as good as we thought he was. He's not as good as you thought he was. See, he needs this guy. He needs that guy. It's a team game, but he's putting those guys in position to catch his passes or finding them when they need to be found, and they're making the plays based on it. But it was a hell of a performance by Mahomes without the gaudy numbers.
They said the offense would struggle when they let Tyreek Hill go. What happened? Okay. They won a Super Bowl without him. So I mean, how many arrows are you going to shoot? Just give it up. The man's a baller.
But you know how people are.
He's the best since Brady. He's the best of the lot right now.
He is, and I don't know where people get this from. Not liking him or not liking the team. Sometimes it comes across as if
it could be overexposure, all the commercials and everything.
Man, that's what comes with the territory. I never really heard people say how much they didn't like Peyton Manning when he was on commercials all the time. Donovan McNabb was in freaking chunky soup commercials. People in Philly still hated him, but everybody around the country still kind of liked him. You know what I mean? But now with Mahomes, people are making up things not to like about him. I mean, it's pretty much what they're doing. Just trying to get themselves in a lather to have a reason not to like him. And as you continue not liking him, he's continued to win games. And it doesn't even have to be impressive. The impressive part is he still got the win on the road when he wasn't supposed to. Vegas didn't think so. I guess we didn't think so. A lot of people didn't think so. And here he is going to Baltimore now. The story now. But for both teams.
We have to mention the Kansas City defense, though, because I thought they'd run the ball. I said Josh Allen might only throw 10 passes. I think he threw 39.
Yeah.
They were not able to run the ball.
Nope, they didn't. No, they didn't run the ball at all.
That was huge. Had they been able to run the ball more consistently, Buffalo probably wins that game. But Kansas City's defense shut it down for the most part.
Yeah, and James Cook, a little bit on the small side. This isn't someone you probably want to rely on with the game on the line and knowing that you can fool people between the tackles with play action, or you're looking for him to just get to the outside. He wasn't able to do that. And I mean, what was it? Kincaid was the only one making plays. Was he the only one making plays out there? That's the only one besides Josh Allen getting the ball to him. And they didn't do much more outside of that. So it was a two-man show. Everyone else didn't show up. Stephon Diggs, the one who's been complaining during the preseason, during the before the preseason.
Who is he upset with? Who is he upset with now? Who is he upset with now? That's what I want to know.
He's got to point the finger at somebody. There's no way he's taking responsibility for this. No way. But you know what? It's a team sport. We can't just look at Josh Allen. And if he had been the reason why they would have lost, he would have deserved it. But
he didn't have any turnovers.
No, he didn't have any turnovers.
I'm just saying he didn't make the plays when they had to be done.
And he ran the ball effectively. I mean, he ran it. He's like a freaking tight end. We saw what he did the week before with a 52-yard run.
Doesn't always slide either. He puts his head down.
That's what I'm worried about if I'm a Buffalo Bills fan. Slide. I know you got that tough guy image, man, but these NFL boys, I don't care how big or small, they come for you, man. Some of them may not want to hit you, but they still come for you, and they're giving their best shot on you, man. And a quarterback doesn't need that, especially when people may just target your head, give you a concussion, or target your shoulder. Now you're worthless as a passer. But yeah, man.
So let me ask you a question. Do you think the Packers choked?
You know what, man? You know what? I can't call it a choke because they shouldn't have been that far down the line to begin with on the road. You know what I mean?
That's true. I was really surprised.
Very surprised.
They controlled the defensive line.
Absolutely.
I was yelling for Bosa. Come on, man! You talk that shit. Don't be like Micah Parsons now. Get your ass in.
You gotta live up to it,
man. And Chase Young, I don't know if he even made a single tackle.
Man,
they were getting pushed around.
They got pushed around.
I did not know Green Bay's offensive line was like that.
Yeah, you know what? They talked about Green Bay's offensive line. They talked about the Detroit Lions offensive line being one of the best, but they didn't get one sack. In fact, the one sack that was made was from Green Bay. But Green Bay, you know what? If this is the team they have in terms of a core moving forward, they're going to be a problem. That whole NFC North looks like it could be a problem. I mean, seriously. Minnesota may be bringing up the rear in that division. I mean, as time moves on, looking at the opportunities that the Bears have with 2 first rounders as early as they are, and in free agency, you almost have to deliberately whiff to not do well in this draft coming up. Well,
we'll see.
They will. You always the optimistic pessimist, man. We'll just have to see. You got 2.
It looks like they're gonna hire Waldron as the OC.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's the talk on the radio.
I thought that Kingsbury was going to get the opportunity. Well, they did have him say
he interviewed, but it looks like they're going to get Waldron. Nothing concrete, but they're saying all indications. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I was really surprised. Green Bay, they had every opportunity to win that game. They controlled it for the most part.
Yeah.
They just lost it at the end. I did not expect him. I think I called 34-24. So I didn't think it was going to be that close.
Nah, I didn't think it was going to be close because even with the time off, I still thought that Green Bay was still brand new to this, even though Jordan Love had a season that I don't think anyone outside of Green Bay thought he would have. I don't think most of Green Bay's fans might have thought that as well. As things went on, they probably jumped on the bandwagon. But to keep the game that close on the road,
what's weird? That last interception, that was like an inexperienced quarterback pass. Like, he hadn't shown that before. And I think it was a second down pass. He had no chance to get to his receiver. I don't know what he was trying to do.
I don't know. I guess one of those brain farts that just happens. He's done things so well for so long, going into this 18 touchdowns or 1 interception going into this game. In the past several games. And then, something had to give. And you're playing one of the best teams in the NFL, the team that we picked in the beginning of the season to be representatives for the NFC going to the Super Bowl, along with Baltimore on the other side going to the Super Bowl. And he showed up. I mean, the whole team showed up. I mean, like the control the line of scrimmage. Aaron Jones getting over 100 yards.
Yeah, Aaron Jones is a badass.
Dude was averaging 6 yards a carry.
Yeah, there was one play in particular. The hole was stuffed. He did his jump cut to the left and bam, 14-yard run. I'm like, damn, I thought they had him shut down on that one.
And how about Deebo Samuel? Injured again.
Yeah. Now, it was so it was watching. I'm not gonna say it was so bad, but you could tell the offense was different without him. I was thinking, man, put your pads on, get your ass out there, just be a decoy.
Yeah.
They don't have to know that you can't play, you can't block, you just be a decoy, make them think, But 49ers stepped up, made the plays, and got the win. But for a while there, it was iffy.
The report says that he had just come this close to a fracture of his shoulder. He's a game time decision when they do play on Sunday. But I mean, and so that pain and probably that risk, you could probably be out there as a decoy. It doesn't keep anyone from still hitting you just because you're out there. You know what I mean? I think
but you see them coming, you can protect yourself.
All you need is a rogue guy. They don't care about to just take a hit. Get the flag.
Your shoulder hurt, bam. How's that feel?
You know what I mean? Seriously. And man, I can understand why he had sat out the game. And if he's still talking about a game time decision on next Sunday, it's something serious. But he's been banged up a lot this year anyhow. I think he's been banged up quite a bit in his career. But another one, Christian McCaffrey, a friend of mine messaged me and asked me about, hey, do you realize when Christian McCaffrey makes these big plays that his teammates don't really come up to him and say, congratulate him? I never noticed that. So I guess he did. So I don't know. Do you notice that when Christian McCaffrey makes a big play?
I have to keep an eye out for that. No,
that's exactly what I said. I was like, yo, bro, I never realized that. But this guy looks pretty hard at things. So I was like, you know what? If he noticed it, there's probably something to it. So now I got to watch. And if that is the case, could it be? I don't know what to think. Is he a problem in the locker room? I don't know, prima donna. He doesn't come across like that, but we don't know anything unless we're in that locker room. I've seen locker rooms where things can go awry, and they still have to keep the happy smile on when the cameras are in their face, and you can just see the destruction of the team outside, how they destroy each other. But Christian McCaffrey just speaking.
I'm gonna have to keep an eye out for that or watch some highlights. We'll see.
Well, he will be back in the end zone this Sunday. He'll be back again, so we'll get a chance to see making a big play or something, man. Playing against Detroit. Now Detroit's on the road coming to.
One more thing about that Buffalo game. What? Why would you go for it on 4th down? Fake the punt.
Yeah. What the hell was that?
Wow. I was like, man, this game's over if Kansas City scores. And they were this far from scoring, man.
Bro,
That fumble touchback is the only reason the Bills were still in it.
and this is one of those instances where you say it was a brave decision that he made, or it was a stupid decision that he made. Stupid decision, not as bad because nothing came of it, but still, why would
I
you
don't
even
know.
do that?
If you got Josh Allen and he's playing fairly well like he was, I'd rather put it in his hands. Just go for it. The
Yeah,
fake punt. Like they
fake punt.
didn't really even come close. They were like a yard and a half, 2 yards short.
I don't know. Coaching
I don't know
again, I think they get a
the
little
Oregon's coach, did he take over for a minute?
for real, man. Come on, man. Hey, big time
No, he
game.
would have kept Bo Nix on the field. No, I can't even say that. I retract that statement.
Yeah, right. Yeah, he'd have kept Bo Nix on the field, still went for it several times, and then hey,
Mhm.
why not pick him again against a team that just got beaten by? And that's what he did. We're going back to college football with that. But yep, now we got the Detroit Lions now heading over to San Francisco on Sunday, going out west from there. What are they in the Central Time Zone or are they in the Eastern Time Zone? But nevertheless, they're going out to San Francisco,
I don't know.
and for the first time in I don't know how many years, if not period, they have 2 wins in the playoffs, one step away from possibly talking about Detroit going to the freaking Super Bowl. All they have to do is beat the 49ers. That shouldn't be too difficult after what we just saw with this young Green Bay team from the AFC North of the NFC North.
That's true. We'll see, man. I've been doubting the Lions all year. Baker put up numbers, but when it counted, he threw the pick. Wasn't able to take him down for the go-ahead score. Lions made the play to seal the victory. Just got to tip your hat to them. I don't think they'll beat the 49ers, but hey, I could be wrong. I've been wrong before.
You know what? It's Jared Goff. It's still him. To me, going into this game, it's still Jared Goff. I would have taken Baker Mayfield over Jared Goff. Now for this game here, different story, but it was still a close game, probably closer than it should have been based on what Detroit has done all year, looking at the record and looking how it looked like Tampa Bay played in the worst division in football this past year. The NFC South was terrible, and they were the winners of that division almost by default, but they showed they belong. And Baker showed it last week and tried to do it again this week, gave his chance, gave himself an opportunity, his team an opportunity. But a team of destiny, as it seems right now, at least for another step into the playoffs, are the Detroit Lions going to San Francisco now. I think the party ends there, but we'll get a chance to talk about that party on Thursday. But Jahmyr Gibbs, in the preseason, I had him as my rookie of the year. He's not going to win it. It's going to C.J. Stroud, but definitely making a good account of himself.
The playoffs.
Yeah, he's in the playoffs.
He might be the rookie of the playoffs, I said. But I'll tell you what the Lions do. They get their ball to their guy.
Yeah.
Amon-Ra St. Brown, right?
Mm-hmm.
And watching them, like they need a play, they get it to him. They need a first down, they get it to him. And he gets it. He makes the plays. That's what Buffalo's lacking. Yeah, they have Diggs, but they don't get him the ball. They tried the one time, he dropped it. But I'm saying when you need that first down, are you able to game plan your guy open? I don't see Buffalo doing that for Diggs the way the Lions do it for St. Brown.
Yeah, and
they do it really well. They get him the ball.
And St. Brown didn't have to do a whole lot, but he had to do it at the right time because as a receiver, averaging fewer than 10 yards of reception for this game, still got his touchdown, but was effective. You know, you look at Mike Evans' numbers, they're big like Mike Evans' numbers are, especially that freakish catch he made, bro. You got to be a hell of an athlete.
He dropped a couple.
Yeah, he dropped
I had just tweeted, man, Mike Evans can't catch anymore.
That made it,
and then he caught that ball at the 2-yard line.
Over the shoulder, bro, made up for that drop.
Retweeted,
2 plays before that.
Buccaneers fans.
Man. But
what?
The Detroit Lions do it again. So now they move on. San Francisco, it may stop there. We don't know anything now. We just got to wait and see. I guess we got to take that approach now because what should be probably never is when it comes down to these players now and the way teams are playing. You know, you think a game should go a certain way and it just goes the complete opposite way, or just, I don't know, it just stagnates and you just stare and hoping, well, they don't allow ties in playoff games. And that's how you look at it. But
you know what?
How it's been going.
The Lions also do a great job getting the ball to Gibbs in space.
Oh, that's what they need to do.
And man, if he has room, he's tough to bring down. He's quick as hell.
He's quick, man.
So the 49ers is gonna have their hands full with him.
Small shades of Barry Sanders out there. I know it's almost blasphemous, but you're talking about an impact player. If you followed him in college, you saw him at Georgia Tech, but then you saw him mostly. I think everybody in the country got a chance to see him at Alabama. He was still that type of player that can take it to the house just with one touch. He just has that extra gear. Going to the NFL, I thought people figured he wasn't supposed to go that high in the draft. I didn't think so either. A little bit on the tweener side as far as size goes, but in terms of explosive plays, he's what Detroit has needed, and they've used him effectively this year and continue to use him effectively. He's breaking big touchdowns and making huge plays in the playoffs when the Detroit Lions really need it. Averaging over 8 yards a freaking carry, man. I mean, come on, he was averaging 5.6 for the season, 5.4 somewhere around here. But he's insane this year. Another one of those rookies.
They give him the ball in space, and it's tough to corral him sometimes, man.
Yeah.
So the 49ers are going to have to game plan for him.
And he's loaded to the ground. I mean, he's a shorter dude, loaded to the ground. So, and then he has that speed. That one missed tackle could be the end of it because he can hit that gear. And he gets from 0 to 60 in those 2-3 steps that you like from a running back. These other guys, I'm not even going to mention Derrick Henry because he's just a big dude. But these other guys that get a lot of yards, it takes them a little bit of time, even the fast ones, to get the top speed. This dude in 2 steps, 3 steps, he's at top speed and making the cut, and it's it. That's it.
Yeah, so I think we're going to have 2 very good ball games. I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait.
Oh, absolutely. I think the marquee game, in my opinion, has to be the Kansas City-Baltimore game.
Yeah, definitely.
The marquee name, Mahomes is there, Lamar Jackson is there. So definitely going to be a marquee game, but not completely overshadowed by what's happening in the nightcap.
Well, it could be that's the better primetime matchup, but then the game could be better between the 49ers and Lions as far as final score being close.
You know what? And that's probably true. But, you know what, man, who the hell am I to talk about what's going on in football these days? Seriously, man. I mean, unbelievable. But, it's almost like you're waiting for the shoe to fall with Detroit. All these years you've seen Detroit almost do something but never really complete it. Now, completing it would mean going to a Super Bowl. No one's ever thought about that, really happening for Detroit because they had never done it. And their idea of getting close wasn't the NFC Championship game. So now they're there and they're on the road, but it doesn't matter, man. I think that getting hot at the right time. Are they playing like a hot team? No, I think they're playing as a good team that made the playoffs, a division champ. But
I think we got to talk about Baker Mayfield for a couple minutes, though.
All right.
Getting the Buccaneers to the second round of the playoffs, putting up 300-something yards on. They play Saturday?
Yeah, Saturday.
Sunday. Was it Saturday?
No, they played on Sunday. They played on Sunday.
Yesterday. Putting up 300 yards yesterday, giving this team a really good shot to win on the road. Nobody had the Buccaneers on the radar. He had a really good season. He had a pretty good game. He had the pick at the end, but regardless, what he did taking that team to the playoffs, I think he deserves a new contract.
Yeah, and you know what? He says he wants to be there. Now you have a quarterback who wants to be there. He's another year in your system. And I think like I mentioned last week, he could be this year's or this decade's version of Rich Gannon, someone who finally got it towards the end of his career. And this is not the end of his career. He's still relatively young. He's not a washed-up player, but if he could just stick here, I think he has a good 5 years to show that he might belong there, and they could just build along with him. You still have
if they didn't have so many injuries in the defensive backfield, the game could have been different too.
You know what? That's the truth as well. But this Buccaneers team, well, let's go back to the reality. They were not record-wise. They played in the worst division in football, which is the NFC South. I mean, they won by default because everybody was just, as they would say in the hood, worse than them. So this is what happened. They just ended up getting there, and they got hot at the right time. We've seen wild card teams go into the playoffs and make it to the Super Bowl. We've seen that game before. But they showed they belong. And now I think the team is confident. I don't think that confidence carries over from season to season, maybe week to week, including a bye week. But from season to season, it doesn't necessarily do. But I said the same thing with Detroit. The way they showed that trajectory last season, and I thought they'd be a better team this year. I didn't expect this good, this fast, but here they are. But yeah, I think Baker Mayfield could be that incumbent quarterback they need to at least do something and not being the doldrums of the NFC, let alone the NFC South.
Yeah, so we'll get to the off season after these playoffs and stuff. See what the
Yeah,
Bears do with the number one pick and all of that.
yeah,
But
the combine's coming up in February.
mhm.
We already know that.
I saw a video on YouTube, Mel Kiper's mock draft, but it was like 45 minutes long. I'm like, nah, it's too early.
Yeah, but Mel Kiper, you know what though? Mel Kiper had J.J. McCarthy as a number 5 quarterback. As much as I like J.J. McCarthy, going into the season, I've been on that J.J. McCarthy bandwagon. I remember him last year when he, not this past season, but the season before, 25 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. But his speed was much more impressive to me than his decision-making and the way he got the ball there. I was thinking even what we saw just past season in the championship season, that he still hasn't really got it completely down as a quarterback. I'm still looking at him as, bro, it wouldn't be a bad idea to do the Julian Edelman, putting him as a slot receiver. I thought a bigger slot receiver because he does have that speed. I think, in fact, he's even faster than what Julian Edelman was coming out of Kent State.
So if he has him ranked at number 5, that means he has him either
Ahead of a lot of dudes.
or Penix. There's no way he can have him ahead of Daniels, Mayer, or Caleb Williams.
No, because they still talking Drake May and Williams ahead of the game. Right. And you still have Penix that people are talking about. You have Daniels up there, so he might be that 5th guy. He's probably that 5th guy just behind them. But I don't know, man. I guess again, what the hell do I know? I'm not in anyone's war room or anyone's scouting staff, but I've been right a lot more than I've been wrong just by the eyeball test. Don't make it harder than it needs to be. Just watch these guys. And he just happens to be someone I've watched enough of over the past couple of years to see that he's a good.
You think will he be better than Daniel Jones?
Daniel Jones, bro. Daniel Jones was in a nice spot because he was in David Cutcliffe's offense, and he could throw the ball in David Cutcliffe's offense. It's like when Steve Spurrier was at Duke. He made the team better because of his offensive scheme. And we see how an offensive scheme in college can make you look better than what you are, to the point that you even fooled some NFL scouts and GMs to draft you. We saw Danny Waffle doing all that stuff in Florida, man, couldn't do it in the NFL. But with Daniel Jones, is he better than Daniel Jones as a passer? No. And from what I saw of Daniel Jones at Duke, and what I've seen from McCarthy at Michigan as a passer, no. Nope. Daniel Jones is better. But a different game in the NFL for both. And we've seen Daniel Jones do okay sometimes, but not okay a lot more.
All right. So what's next?
Man, well, the NBA still going on. Anything going on in the NBA? I mean, what? Tyrese Halliburton.
To be honest, I didn't watch no basketball this week. I did see something earlier where LeBron has 5,000 turnovers now. He's the only NBA player in history.
5,000 turnovers, bro. Yo, it sounds like a lot, man, but the dude played forever, man. He keeps the ball in his hands. Come on.
I don't know. I'm just saying, Jason Kidd played a long time.
Yeah, but not as long as him, and kept the premium player year in and year out. I mean, that has the ball in his hands.
Jason Kidd was a point guard. He had the ball in his possession.
He was a point guard breaking down too. Jason Kidd didn't come every night at the end of his career. But yeah, 5,000 freaking turnovers sounds like a lot.
LeBron's missed time the last few years too now.
Yeah, and you know what? It's ironic because I remember a couple of years ago, I made a video about LeBron James saying, look at his health. How can you stay healthy this long? This guy's a freak of nature. Boom. After that, he's all injured, missing huge stretches of games, the whole deal. Okay.
I'm more surprised Anthony Davis hasn't been shut down for
another one. Exactly. These guys are like Ferraris, man.
KD
you gotta stay out.
KD, somebody asked him if he's in the GOAT conversation. He says, I should be. There isn't anything I haven't done. Bruh, man, you joined the super team. You need a chip.
Egos of these guys.
You need a chip without Steph and Clay and Draymond, bro.
Man, the egos of these guys. See, we say one thing as fans or observers just watching these guys, and in their heads, they're thinking something completely different. Where you could come with a common sense argument of saying you was with a super team, bro. You know what I mean? When you was out there in Oklahoma City, you didn't do it then, and you had those types of plays with you. You had James Harden on the bench, and you still couldn't win over there.
That beat him.
Yeah, and
Jordan King,
exactly.
they beat him after being up 3-1.
Man, yeah, but I mean, I'm just still going back to the egos of these players and what they're thinking when they're thinking. No question, he's a Hall of Famer. No question, he's one of the best players to ever play the game.
Yeah, he's
But the GOAT conversation,
he's
man.
probably top 10, top 12.
You know what? Top 10, top 12 don't put you in the GOAT conversation. The GOAT conversation comes when you're narrowing it down to probably the top 3, maybe 4 players. That's when a GOAT conversation, I think, really takes form. You take those 4 guys, and they're kind of almost interchangeable. But then there's probably something that some people think on a consistent they outshine the other 3. I don't know.
Like the Warriors beating the Celtics in the finals, and what Steph did in those finals, that's more impressive than anything KD has ever done.
Well, there you go. And he's not in the GOAT conversation. I mean, Steph is an amazing player. He's not in the. I don't think he's in the GOAT conversation. It's hard, and it's hard. What could Steph had done in his career that would have put him in the GOAT conversation? Because as far as a 3-point shooter, he's changed the game. The best 3-point shooter ever, probably the best we ever will see again until Caitlin Clark comes to the WNBA. Comes to the NBA. But
he'd just have to be a different player, like a better defender.
Exactly. So what would be
more dimes? He just have to be a better player than he is. And I'm not saying he's just a shooter, because he'll get rebounds and he'll get tough rebounds. He'll battle. He'll box out a big man, but he's not consistently getting 8 rebounds and 7 assists. Sometimes he might only have 2 or 3 assists in a game, where a better player is always going to have 6 or 7 assists and 28 points. You know what I mean?
So, in your opinion, going into an argument of the GOAT, if someone was a great college player coming into the NBA, what would they have to do to become the GOAT? How could they displace Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Kareem, Magic? What would it take for those guys, for someone on the outside? Because it's almost like a Mount Rushmore in boxing. It's probably never going to change. Regardless of who fights, it's never going to change. So if there's a Mount Rushmore in basketball, is it ever going to change? Can anyone come in and play basketball the way these guys did, or get that type of respect to where you can say, man, that dude's so good, he's in front of MJ now? I don't think there's anybody that we could think of or anyone that we could see, we can even imagine in the future that would be that player.
I know.
What would they have to do?
I'm trying to think. Like, let's say if Jokic does what he did last year for 10 years in a row.
That's comical, though.
He's in the GOAT conversation. Like, you really have to consider him, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, that's comical, because that's almost impossible to do that.
Let's say Wemby, he bulks up and he's splashing threes and he averages 35 a game, 14 rebounds, 7 blocks, 5 assists, and he does that for 15 to 18 years. Well, you know what I mean?
Yeah, there'll be an opportunity.
But that's a high. Those are high numbers to get to. But could he do it? If he's splashing 4 threes a game, that's 12 points right there.
But check this
4
out.
dunks a game, that's another 8. He's at 22.
But we've seen Wilt's numbers, man. We've seen Wilt's numbers, and he's not consistently talked about as a GOAT when you talk about the GOAT.
People are stupid. That's why.
That's why I'm saying
they changed the rules to slow down Wilt. They changed the rules to slow down Wilt.
Absolutely. He's averaged over 40 points a game, double digits rebounds, everything across the board. Even assists, man. Even assists as a center.
A former Laker told a story. Wilt showed up to the Lakers practice in the 80s. He had already been retired for years. He's like, you guys mind if I run with y'all? They let him run with the second team. The first team, Showtime Lakers, could not beat the second team with Wilt. And he was already retired. You got Kareem out there, Michael Thompson, James Worthy. I mean, they could not fuck with Wilt. He was 40-something years old already. He's not 50.
And the deal with Wilt is I don't see enough people having him in the GOAT conversation. If they make it a 1 or 2 battle, he's not in that 2. He's probably, if he had 3, they add him in. You know, the 1 and 2 for people who think they know basketball is going to either be MJ or LeBron. Those are the so-called numbers. If you go to basketball groups where you can take the ones that you think are serious because you see the conversation is pretty much a good conversation most times, when their list comes up and they have their top 2 or 3, Wilt's rarely in that top 3. And it just bugs me out. Like, bro,
you talk
he
about
averaged more than all of these dudes. He's only lacking in championships.
But you talk about athletic. He was a high jumper. He could play right now.
Volleyball, high jump. He did everything.
If he was 18 years old coming out of high school right now, he'd be the number 1 pick.
Oh, without a doubt. And in today's NBA, I mean, he's putting up Giannis kind of numbers as a rookie if he came out now. But it just blows my mind how when there's a list of a top 2, he's never really spoken about. You need a top 3 or even a top 5 just so they can give him the credit he deserves to be in that top 5. And then they bring up Bill Russell. Bill Russell punked him all the time. Oh, man, you need to watch some games. I'm not going to act like I sat there watching those 2 play on a video, but come on, man. It's hard to believe
Bill Russell was no punk.
Bill Russell was no punk.
He go at him, but he had Hall of Famers with him. When Wilt squatted up with Hall of Famers, they set the record for wins. They dominated. If Wilt had that for his entire career, Russell may not have had any rings.
Well, yeah, that was a conversation.
People are going to say I might be crazy for saying that because what do you have, 11, 12? But if you have Wilt Chamberlain with the guys on that 76ers team, they set the record for most wins, most consecutive wins in the season, most total wins in the season. If those guys were all together for 8 to 10 years, you're not telling me they're not going to get 7, 6 or 7 at least?
Yeah, and in a smaller league, there weren't as many teams. No, that's a double-edged sword. I guess when I make that argument about there weren't as many teams, that means, you know what? It was probably a stronger league then, because now when you expand the teams, you get players who wouldn't be able to make the team in other leagues. Now we have an opportunity to make teams and be on these other teams because, you kind of diluted the talent pool. But anyway.
Yeah, when they expanded for a couple of years, the league was watered down. But why you don't see that now is all of the European players who have risen to the NBA level talent, who have come over. But if you take out all the European players, it's a watered down league.
Yeah, and I'm glad that these European players decided that they just weren't happy to be there like they showed back in 1992. That 1992, when they were just happy to get blown up by 80 and get a picture with MJ, those days are way past. Now you got these teams that are beating the U.S. in international competition, not necessarily consistently, but damn, Nigeria beating them, bro, even in an exhibition, unacceptable. But that shows you how far along everyone has come. Because I've seen some Ugandan basketball. That's something I don't want to see again. Those guys aren't there yet. Nigeria, yeah, I'll take that. But Ugandan basketball has a long way to go. And their women's basketball, forget about it. But yeah, man, that's just how the NBA is right now. And while we're on the NBA, since we talked about something a few months ago and didn't continue because we didn't have enough information to continue, Josh Giddey off the hook with what he's been going through. Yeah, off the hook. Wow. They can't substantiate what's been going on. And I had a feeling that would happen, but people think you're going to side with the athlete, and the victim doesn't get what she deserves in terms of the sympathy and empathy that she should get, in their opinion. But apparently, the people who are more than willing to find a culprit in something like this couldn't do it. He's off the hook.
So he wasn't dating.
Well, I don't know if he was dating that, but I guess they didn't do what she claimed they did.
Oh wow.
Yeah, you know what? So yeah, you know what? I just thought, hey, it's not that we just jumped on it quickly when it first came out, but it was something that needed to be spoken about because it came out, and because if you're talking about basketball and the things that are happening in basketball and could really affect the team on the court, well, him not being there does affect what OKC is doing right now, especially as hot as they are. I mean, they're the core team. That core team, he's part of that core.
You're right. That's huge for them.
Yeah, absolutely.
I didn't see that coming. I haven't really been following it, and I didn't hear that. But
I just saw it pop up.
If he's innocent, then good for him.
Exactly. If he's innocent, and if they came to that conclusion, all good. Now I know people out there would like to speculate. Everybody's a detective all of a sudden. Everybody here's an advocate all of a sudden when they don't get the result they wanted. I guess some of them wanted that kind of result, but no. Because I remember how that thing became a bigger issue than it should have been in terms of just making it a race issue instead of the issue it really was. See, why did Stephen A. talk about it? Why didn't Malika Andrews say something about it? He's a white guy. If he was a black dude, they'd have been all over it. That's what the narrative was. See, just call the narrative exactly what it is, what he was alleged to have done, and now he's off the hook with that. So yeah, that needed to be spoken about. So I'm glad it had
Good for
happened.
him.
Yes.
Let me talk about Caitlin Clark real quick. Did you see what happened after they lost to
She got a
Ohio State?
concussion, didn't she?
I don't know if she got a concussion, but there's camera angles where it slowed down, where it wasn't much of a collision. It was more of a flop.
She flopped.
She flopped.
Uh-oh. Little LeBron.
You got to see the video.
Yeah, I didn't see the video. I just heard about it.
When you see it from like the camera angle from way up top, it looks like she got ran into and she throws her arms up and falls down. The other lady fell down too. But there's a zoomed in angle where the lady's coming and she could have done like this. Maybe there would have been a little bit of contact where they brush each other, but she kind of threw herself into her, threw her arms up, and threw herself down. The other lady fell down. She got up, looked back, and she kept going to go celebrate. I just think it's a bad look because
a bad look for Caitlin.
Yeah. Why are you flopping? Get your ass off the court. You lost. Let them celebrate.
I don't know what happens because from what I heard, she may have had a concussion, possibly, maybe in some type of protocol.
She said at the press conference she was fine, no injuries, I believe.
Well, so, if the fan is running onto the field,
if you see that video, you'll see there ain't no damn way she has a concussion.
I gotta watch the video.
They might report she has one, or she possibly had one, or she went into the protocol. They can say whatever they want to say. Ain't no way she has a concussion when you see that video.
But you know what? Once again, she's the reason why anyone would even watch college basketball right now. They were playing Ohio State at Ohio State. The only reason why
there's a collision, her head would have snapped back. Yeah. There's no snap back.
Whiplash.
There's no snap back. Oh, man, I'm telling you, you just got to watch it.
If I
see it on YouTube, I'll send it to you. You can play the video Thursday.
Yeah, I want to see this, man. Now she become little LeBron out there. Come on,
my thing is you're getting all this attention. You know, even guys like me, I give a damn about women's basketball.
None.
But I watch her highlights. I'm like, oh, Caitlin Clark's playing tonight.
No, bro, the only reason.
And now you're gonna start this garbage. It's not a good look. Not a good look. Don't flop because you lost. And the fans are running on
45 points in that game. She was killing. One thing I realized about her too, man, going through the stat line, because we do watch the games when the time does come. She has a lot of turnovers. And I know that female basketball as a whole has a lot of turnovers. So I guess she's on the lower side of the turnover ratio. But man, she gets a lot of turnover, like 7, 9, 6. Man.
Yeah, that's a lot. You gotta keep it.
Like on the regular though.
3 and under. 3 and under.
3 and under. Now you watching men's basketball now. Bro, you get 3 and under, man. You got yourself a Hall of Fame.
There's some guys out there with a lot of turnovers.
Because in female basketball, do they not allow backcourt violations? Because I know they didn't do that before.
To be honest, I haven't watched a women's basketball game. Ooh. I just watched the highlights.
Yeah, but I looked at the turnovers, man, because I know when you look at some of these college stats in the past, they didn't have women's turnovers at all. They just got tired of freaking tallying them up, I guess. But yeah, they didn't even show the women's turnovers, man.
Really to keep count.
They're like, oh, bro, come on, man. You know, they're just going to get ridiculed. Yeah, but Caitlin Clark is the reason why people are watching. In Ohio State.
Anyway, happy birthday, Caitlin Clark. It's her birthday today.
Yeah, it's a birthday. Go, Caitlin. It's your birthday. Go flop. All right, so we're going to close this down now and just come back on Thursday with whatever happens in between time, including some video on Caitlin Clark doing her rendition of I Might Be in the NBA Sooner Than You Think.
We'll have our picks, even though Trav already has his picks from way back before the season, Ravens and 49ers.
Yeah.
In the way you can change now.
Oh, no, there's no way to change now, man.
I had the 49ers and Bengals. Burrow got hurt. So
you know what? Burrow really threw a monkey wrench in there.
Mulligan.
But the way things are, man, it looks like that's how it should work out. But the way these playoffs have been going, there are no guarantees, man. I know. And you know what? And I'm hoping that between Baltimore and San Francisco, the little bit of rust they had to knock off because of the bye week is now creature of habit mode again. To now they played it, yesterday. Now they come back and play another week afterwards, more in line with what they're used to doing, body clock and otherwise, being at home and otherwise. So yeah, things should be a little bit more in sync and better off, or a lot more in sync and better off. In both cases, they're both the better team. So
Right.
we'll just have to see. All right. So now we'll be done with that. Sports Bag Bros podcast is shutting it off on a Monday after a big week of professional football, the NFL giving it to us once again. We'll be looking forward to it on Thursday when we give you our picks of what's going to happen in the NFC and AFC championships game, respectively. Until next time,
I might watch some basketball between then and now.
Oh yeah,
between now and then.
It's that time of year, and we'll finally start talking a little bit of college basketball. And I think we need to keep it at a minimum because there's never going to be a number one team for more than 2 days.
They're conference play now, so games are starting to matter.
Yeah, and hey, before you know it, next week is February. The tournament's the month after, so it's getting hot. All right.
All right.
Deuces.